video on House of Machismo podcast. It's House of Machismo.
All right, so I gave you guys two choices on what we were going to talk about, and you guys picked one, and so that's what we're going to talk about.
All right, let's talk about
We're going to talk about money, but we're going to talk about lending money, okay? How many of you have lent somebody money?
I have twice.
No, friends and family, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So you lent people money before. What about you? Have you?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay, so how many of you have borrowed money?
Oh, I've borrowed money before.
I don't think I've borrowed money.
I don't like borrowing money.
It's kind of hectic, you know. But, but it's only the last resort kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
I know.
But
so I think way back when I was a kid, I borrowed money. It was a chore to pay it back, but I did.
Right.
You know, it wasn't. It's like because when you first get it, you're like, "Hey, look, it's found money. Finally, all right, I can breathe."
Yeah.
But then you really don't start thinking about, oh, so I got to pay that back,
right?
You know, and so sometimes it puts you right back where you started,
right?
You know, if I guess maybe some people should say, hey, can you just give me money?
Yeah,
you know, that I don't have to pay back or something. I don't know.
Yeah, but who's got the spare change for that? You know,
it's just so okay. So I was when I first started hanging out with a friend. I never knew, this was many years ago, I never knew the concept of pawn shops. I just thought this is where you go to buy stuff that was used.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So this friend would say, hey, I'm a little short. I got to stop by the pawn shop. I'm like, I have no idea what that is. So I went with him. And then I didn't know that he was selling his stuff, pawning his stuff. So I didn't know how any of that worked. I'm like, so they're giving you money for that? It's like, yeah, but I'll get it back. I'm like, how are you going to get it back? You just sold it to them.
Yeah.
It's like, he explained the whole concept and all that. So he wasn't one to borrow money. He was just the one to take his possessions and just kind of like, but he would do that frequently. So one day he'll have his game system and then the next week he wouldn't have it. And it's like, what happened to it? You know, it's like, oh, I had to pawn it or his guitars or whatever. It's like, man, and it's like, man, that's not a life to live. You know, when you have to do stuff like that. And so I had lent, I've lent a lot of people money before. And I'll be honest with you, I think maybe I got about half of it back.
Yeah, that sounds about reasonable.
About half of it back. Actual money. Sometimes they'll be like, hey, here, just take this. I can't afford to pay you back.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't want that. You know, or the, here, let me pay you back in payments.
And I'm like, you got to keep track of it.
You got to keep track of it. You know?
Can't make a statement.
Yeah, exactly. And so, or, you know, God knows if you try saying, hey, put this in writing. They're like, why would I do that? I was like, because I don't trust you.
You know, families never paid me back, but my friends have paid me back. You know, so like money I've never recouped or just, you know.
Your family pays you back in love.
Exactly.
I
think that's the exchange, right?
I mean... I don't know. It's just, and it creates, for me, it creates a strain on the relationship because I don't want it to, I want them to realize it's not going to affect our friendship.
Right.
But, you know, waiting for it like the day, because I remember lending someone money and they agreed to pay it back on a certain day. That day arrived and I didn't hear from them. And so, but I didn't want to be the one to say, hey, where's my money? You know. But
you don't want to
like,
be the guy like, oh, I shouldn't have to tell you.
Right, but it shouldn't be a chore for me to get it back.
Exactly.
It's like you came to me, I lent it to you, and now it's your responsibility to give it to me when you say that you're going to. You know, coworkers, you know, friends, families, all that stuff. I lent money to, and they're, you know, I don't know what goes through their heads. You know, I had one friend that I think I lent. Man, the friendship started off on the wrong foot because he like maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks, he had asked to borrow like $350 to pay his satellite bill. You know,
why is he paying $350 for a satellite bill?
Because apparently he had like some NFL package, and his mom had like some sort of Spanish
satellite,
Spanish package, right?
Cut that shit.
I just need them to shoot the satellite into space for me, please. Like,
and so So I lent it. He paid me back, actually. He did pay me back.
Well, that's good.
Okay, but that opened the door so that next time, so then the next
Like
time.
Marty's
so,
got it.
Yeah, so then this one time, I lent him about the same amount of money, and weeks go by. I'm still seeing this person, but weeks go by, and he posts on Facebook these new shoes that he bought. And
that chaps your heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I'm all like, what? It's like, and so I messaged him. It's like, how can you afford to buy these shoes, but you don't concern yourself paying me back? I was like, that's not cool. But, and he was paying me back like in payments. He finally started paying me back in small payments. I couldn't keep up with it. I really couldn't, because it's like, it would be like $50 here, $40 there, $30 there. I was like, how am I supposed to keep up with this? So then finally, I think it just kind of dissolved, where it's like, I don't know. I just assume he paid me it all back. I have no idea.
Your debt is forgiven.
But it wasn't, knock on wood, I wasn't hurting for it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like as if I needed it now.
Right.
But it's just, it hurts, because it's like, you're not,
It's
that's
the principle.
not cool.
Yeah, it is the principle of the
Principalities.
thing. Yeah, right. It's like,
Principalities.
if you don't want to pay back your debts, I mean, that shows every kind, the kind of person that you actually are. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, and God knows if I were to ask someone, it's like, hey, well, why don't you start doing some of my yard work? Working it off.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, it's like, no, I'll pay you back, Marty. It's like, okay, all right.
Yeah, the best thing you can hope for is that for $350 they're out of your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, they're gone. I don't have to deal with them
I
again.
paid you to go away. Bye.
So what's been some of your experiences?
I've only done it twice, right? And one was in school, and it was over like a minuscule amount of money. And it was a teammate of mine in football, and I don't know. I guess he was poor or something, because it was like it was a $5 sandwich at a cafeteria.
Oh,
He said
wow.
he was going to pay me back. He never did. I've
been in situations like that. That stuff doesn't bother me. The $5, $10,
Yeah,
$20, even $30. It's really not a huge deal.
Yeah.
But just the bigger amount.
Yeah, the bigger amount was about $800. This guy, he applied at my company, and then like the city that had all the records and everything like that, their system went down.
Yeah.
And so it delayed his hiring process. And so like I had known him from another company, and I was like, I want him here, and then he, for whatever reason, decided to put his 2 weeks notice in at where he was working, and then it was a month later.
Okay.
And he was about to be homeless. So I was like, well, how much do you need? He never said he was going to pay me back. I was like, I'm in a well enough position that I can throw $800 to, help him out. And he bought himself a trailer, to go live in a trailer park. He says, I haven't talked to him in like 6 months, so I don't expect to see that money back. But, I'm glad that he's not homeless.
Homeless, right, exactly.
You could go repossess that trailer.
I mean, I could, but it wasn't mine.
Well, I guess along with him too.
Right.
It's like, hey, what's going on?
What's that beeping sound?
You're coming to work for me again in a different company. That's what's going to happen, right? No, that's it. That's all I've ever done. So, but I, wanted to help the guy out.
I'm one of those where I can be very generous. Like I've given people on the street like $50. I given them literally my shoes. I given them whatever, depending on their situation, I get a feel for them. It's like, okay, are you legit or whatever? But when it comes to something where it's like lending, I think there are certain rules that I've heard of. Like, look, if you're gonna lend somebody money, be able to lend them the money that you're comfortable possibly losing.
Right.
It's like gambling.
It is like
Yeah. But also you're supposed to establish clear rules on how it's going to be paid back and when it's going to be paid back.
Yeah.
And so unfortunately those don't really apply to some people that say like, I don't know, I don't have a job, but I need to pay this or pay that. I sympathize and I totally understand. But don't just rely on me specifically just to aid your entire situation.
Yeah.
You know, you have other friends, you have other family.
I
you
mean,
know,
if your
whatever.
situation's that bad, I mean, like, come by and do, like you said, like housework or something.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I'm not a fan of something for nothing, even though I just had that story. You know, I'm like, I'll give you this money, but, you know, give me something in exchange. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
A handy or something.
At least give me a reach around. I don't know.
Dutch rudder.
Yeah. Oh, Dutch rudders. Anyway, I don't know. It's just well, I mean, maybe we can show them. Anyway,
Sounds like a House of Machismo after dark kind of thing.
yeah. Well, it just depends on what you mean by machismo, but anyways, well, I mean, if K-Rod was here, he could explain the Dutch rudder.
No, yeah,
I've heard he's good at that, or explaining it. I'm not
Good
sure. One of those
explaining
things. Maybe explaining it. I don't know. So anyway, but I don't know with and sometimes I do forget. You know, I forget that somebody owes me money.
Right.
And if that's what that means, like sometimes I'll purposely just forget about it because I didn't want it to ruin the friendship.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, okay, well, whatever. You know, it's like you know, but I've gotten to the point now where I stop lending money.
Yeah.
Because now I learned to say no. It's like
Yeah.
Right.
no, because I would have friends that would.
It takes a lot to learn that too, man.
Yeah, because it hurts sometimes because like you really do want to help somebody, but
Yeah.
when you're texting me your entire sob story about why you need it,
Yeah.
you know, I'm thinking as I'm not reading it, maybe the first couple of sentences or whatever. I'm thinking of my response, and I don't need. And for the longest time, I would think of it like an explanation as to why I can't. And then finally, I just said, I don't need to explain why I can't. I just need to tell them, no.
Nope.
No, I'm sorry. It's like, well, good luck. You know, I'd like you've seen social media posts, like especially on Facebook, and I find them so fascinating to read. I've donated to some, you know, but for the most part, you know, when they're flat out asking for money, you know,
Oh, dropping the Cash App on there.
yeah,
Oh my God.
you know,
Yeah.
if it's for like, I think I donated money to like someone's like cat surgery or something like that. And, you know, she posted pictures of the cat and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that's fine. You know what? I'll donate to your cat surgery. I have a little place in my heart for animals.
I
you know?
I like animals too.
Yeah, so
I do want to go with a joke though instead. And
oh well, yeah. But he's like, but I don't want to ruin the moment.
I don't want to involve
yeah.
everything.
So anyway, but there are others that, you know, when they post something like that, I won't comment on them because it's like I don't see why. But you see a lot of people commenting about, well, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Why don't you do that? You know, it's like all the stuff is in hindsight.
Right.
You
right.
know, where it's like, you know, they're scenario shit right now, and they're just asking for help. So either A, you're going to help them by stepping up to the plate, or B, just leave them alone. Just leave them alone. You know, just
Yeah.
you know, there's no need for you to.
Well, hey, I hope you figure that out because I can't figure it out. For
Yeah,
you.
there was
You know?
but I read the stories 'cause sometimes I find them very interesting. There was this one guy that was trying to get from one city to another, but his car was broken. He was living in his car. He had 2 dogs. You know, like people are like throwing out solutions other than just literally giving him money.
Yeah.
And it's like, it just seemed like this guy didn't want to help himself. Like, look, if somebody has like $1,000 in the bank and that's theirs and they're good with it, like that's all they got.
Yeah.
But they paid all their bills, they're not going to compromise that very much because that's their cushion money.
Right.
That's
right.
their money where it's like, okay, you know, that's going to come handy later on. I don't know when you're going to be able to pay me back. You know,
Right.
but this guy was specifically asking for help and donations, not asking for loans.
Yeah.
That's fair.
You know, and so I take that into consideration.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay,
There's still like those little, like when people are down and out, there's still those little things like, you know, just the cost of being outside.
Yeah.
You know, you leave the door and then it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I got to get something to drink. I need to get gas. You know, it's just those little transactions kind of rack up, and then just like, oh, now I need this bill due.
Yeah.
You know, and then that kind of racks up and stuff like that.
I think he was even saying that his phone was going to get cut off.
Yeah.
Because we're all like wondering, how are you posting this if you're homeless? You know, and you know, so I wanted to keep up with him, but eventually my Facebook feed just, you know,
turned to shit.
I'm like, well, he went into the abyss.
Yes.
That is Facebook feeds.
I will never see it again.
Never see him again.
Never have to feel guilty about it.
I'm not even sure I knew who he was in the first place.
It was a spirit, you know, ghost. But anyways, excuse me. So when it comes to lending money, I'm very cautious about it.
Yeah, I mean, you probably should.
I do set terms and everything. Like if somebody wants to borrow money from me, I'm very like, okay, I'm a bank. If you need this much money, like I'm going to need interest. I'm going to need, when's this going to get paid? How are you going to do it? Everything like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to need all this information first. And if you don't want to go through that work just to get the information for me, then it's like, do you really need the money?
Yeah.
Because there's people like, hey man, can I borrow this? All right, cool. I was like, I'm going to need 25% interest on it. I'm going to need this. And 25% interest is really generous.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
it's
saying?
like, let's run your credit check and take a urine sample.
Right. And so do this. And I'll just hear like, you know, like,
yeah.
All right, I guess you don't need it then.
I mean,
hey, I got to get something out of it too. And really, I'm like, what am I banking? Like $50 at the most?
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, when people like agree to terms, they feel a little bit more obligation to not miss that date.
Yeah.
Especially when you just lay it out like, hey, is this, and if you don't pay it, then you just like, don't fucking talk to me. Yeah. You know, like what do you want? Do you want to risk this friendship, or do you just want this money and I never see you again?
Yeah.
You know, and they'll think about it and they'll be like, oh, and sure enough, I'll get money back, you know? so it's just a matter, because there's been times in the past where it's just like, yeah, here's $300, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll get you back. I get paid next Friday, but I'll never see it.
Never see it.
Never see it.
Never see them again.
Yeah, exactly.
So I had this one person that borrowed money from me. It wasn't really too much. It was like $40-$50 or something like that.
Yeah.
And so he said, yeah, I'll pay you. I'll get you next paycheck. Mm-hmm. So the next paycheck comes along. I just go up to him. It's like, hey, do you have my money? It was just very casual. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh man, you know what? Can I just give you 20?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, all right, I guess so. He's like, yeah, okay. But he gets paid every 2 weeks. So he's like, yeah, I'll get you next paycheck. Okay. So in the middle of next week, he comes up to me and asks, can I borrow some money?
Yeah.
I'm all like, but you owe me. He's like, yeah, no, I'll pay you in full this coming paycheck. So I'm like, okay. Mm-hmm. So I lend him the money. And later on, I learned he was asking other people to borrow money too. So I'm like, so this guy's trying to pay off all these other people too. And finally, I think I had given him like a Christmas card, like Merry Christmas, and blah, blah, blah. You know, consider your loan, you know, wiped clean, you know, and I give it to him. And he was like, no, Marty, it's okay. I'm going to pay you back. I'm like, he never did.
Yeah.
But I was okay with, you're not going to pay me back.
Right.
You know, because, I mean, what can I do to collect? Break legs or something?
Right,
You know,
exactly.
God, I mean,
you know.
House of Machismo debt collectors.
I was like, hey, bitch, where's my $35?
Hey man, $100. I'll fucking go
Yeah.
for you, man.
Maybe I can outsource you.
Right.
You know.
What's his name? We're like, hey, excuse me, is your name? What time you got? You know,
Yeah.
like, pop.
Yeah. You collect 20% of that.
20%. Yeah.
20% of $35.
Yeah. Well, it's not going to be 50. Was it going to be 50%? Come on. I mean, get real.
No,
just buy me lunch,
kinda
man.
funny.
Just buy me lunch.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'll go break a guy's legs for lunch.
I appreciate that.
Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio, or wherever you stream your podcasts. Be sure to like our Facebook page and follow us on Instagram. You can also find us on our YouTube channel and TikTok.